Hello there, I added a new map to my Android game which is completely free to play right now. You can just go ahead and download it for free from Play Store. Right now it's only available for Android devices. It will be available for iOS in probably 3 months. I'm working on it. It's gonna be really hard. This is the new map. It's called Jogoku, which is a Japanese word which means the hell. So this is probably the hell that you'll be experiencing in this game. So I'm going to be talking about the technical stuff later on in this video. Right now I'm just gonna be showcasing the map. So if you're here for the technical stuff, please just go a little bit further in the video and you'll get a lot of technical explanations about this map. This is the first scene you're gonna be facing in this map, and again all the missions are similar to other maps, like collecting nice skulls. I mean, there's a lot of missions in this game, a lot of missions. I mean, I simply cannot count them anymore. I'm adding different missions every day, and now I don't really know which one's which, so there's a lot of missions. And the good thing is that they don't rely on the map, so wherever you are, in which map you're playing, the missions are gonna be the mission system is gonna be playing randomized things for you, and you're gonna be experiencing a different scenario from which other people are gonna be experiencing. This is the map. This is the first, as always, shops in the game. So trade shop, the power shop, the rate the game please shop. So I would really appreciate it if you just go ahead and rate the game for me. The clothes shop, so if you just go ahead and you can just go ahead and oh, look at that. So I'm not going to be standing here. I got
Would you like to buy new clothes and pants and shoes? This is the place for
okay, so this is nice. This is something I didn't experience before. So this is the clothes shop. I just changed my clothes. This is the power shop, the effects shop. I can just go ahead and buy different effects for my game, for my character. If I gonna go ahead and buy this one and wear it, this is how the character will look like. Okay. The emphasis in this map is on rain and water. So water looks really cool. This is the Android preview, where, by the way, there's this feature in Unreal Engine 5 that you can easily see how the game will look like, an estimate of how it will look like in the Android devices, and this is how it looks like. So it really looks really good. The fog, the
running low on night skulls.
water, all the designs are really cool. And also, if you take a closer look at the ground, you can see all the water ripples that are coming from the rain. So I mean, my FPS is a little bit high, but if I take it down to 20, this is probably what you'll experience. So ripples, splashes on the ground, a variety of effects that you're gonna experience on your Android devices. So I'm gonna get it back to 120 because I wanna see different things. Okay, so now this is how it looks like. Your right now your main question should be, how could you get it run on Android devices? Because these are a lot of details that normally can't be run on an Android device, and let me tell you that the performance is just incredible. It's better than the Jungle, it's better than the Tokyo. It looks really good and it performs really well. Let's head into that part right now. First of all, let me just grab this woman, and this is something I should fix. And also this should not have this material, because right now I created a material. This is one of the performance fixes I had to do. If something is rotating, it means that it is rotating every frame. You don't want that, because it's basically something that's being computed by CPU, and you don't really need that. GPUs are much more powerful, so you need GPU to do that work. This is why I'm doing all the work in shaders, and guess what? The shader that's being used for this is completely similar to this, so I have to fix that right now. Just a moment. Okay, so these two are completely the same. I'm going to have to duplicate it and use the duplicate on this, and this will rotate. Okay, it is fixed now. Save. Okay, so this is a lot of details. First of all, this is what you will see in the game. If you pay close attention, the everything will just go away. They don't render when you're far away, and we have this little depth of field, and fog helps a lot to just obscure everything that's beyond what you can see. So if something's not visible, you don't really notice it that much. Just like that. There's nothing in here, but if I get closer, everything will just start to come back, and this is the scene that we'll get. This is one thing I always do, and the way I do it is not by a culling box or something like that. Culling, what's it called? Cull distance volume. It's not by that. I usually do it by hand, like I don't want the group selection, so I usually just see which assets are smaller, and then I go ahead and type the name, and then I grab all of them, which in most cases are the same assets. If there's something different, you should just pay close attention. Don't just duplicate stuff and change the scale value without changing the name. That's pretty important. And when you select everything, just come in here, type in desired max draw distance. In this case, it's 7,000 for me because it's not that small. But if you come in here for the fences like this, it's 5,000 units. So if I get away 5,000 units from the objects or the camera, I'm the camera, the object will just get invisible, and it will not be processed by GPU. It will be processed by CPU though, just because there's a lot of instances about it, and there's a lot of fence. If you just that's the tricky part, by the way. There's this much fence just in this area, and for making every one of them invisible and visible, CPU is working a lot, like a lot. And CPUs are not that strong in cell phones. I mean, CPUs are not cheap. GPUs are really more powerful. So I mean, that's always the base rule. You have to make the GPUs work all the time, not the CPU. But in this case, I mean, there's another way to do it, which is called HISM, hierarchical instance static meshes, which makes the GPU do all the work. But that, to my surprise, didn't work on mobiles really well. It just is a lot worse, like 1,000 times worse. And the way you do that, you just go ahead in actor, merge actors, which I have a lot of assets, by the way, merge actor settings, and you have the option to batch and hierarchical instance static meshes and merge actor. Don't use this replace source actors in this case, just merge them and you're good to go. but it doesn't work really well on mobile. So if you work on mobile, that's not the way to do it. So desired max draw distance is the best way to do it. So we have CPU and GPU. CPU gets everything and delivers them to GPU, right? Everything you see on the screen is being processed by GPU. Everything that's you see on the screen is being delivered by CPU, right? So you have to think about it that way. What's on the screen? I have floor, water, bridge, everything. What's inside them? Well, you can go into the wireframe. Well, there's a lot of vertices that are just being processed by CPU. Well, that's one. In modern GPUs, it's not such a big deal, but it could be a really big deal if you have like a million triangles for every static mesh, which we don't want that. So we just open everything, check them. This is 972 just because I'm using vertex painting on it. If I'm not going to be using vertex painting, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13. 13 is what I will have for the vertices, not 584. Well, I'm using vertex painting and I have no problem with this amount of triangles and vertices. Well, this is fine. If it was 1 million, then you have to come in here, you have a reduction settings, percent triangles, and you have to make sure that it's a lot less than this, a lot less than for a floor. I'd say you don't really need to go above 1,000 if you work on mobile. Also, number of LODs is really important. One is what you're looking for. You can't have LODs in mobile, I'm afraid, just because CPUs are not that strong. If you work on PC, CPUs can handle pretty much everything. I mean, if you're working on such a small project like this. But even such a small project like this, CPU will definitely suffer from this much work. So you don't really need that much work, and just leave this as 1, and if it's set at 4, just go ahead and set 1 and apply changes and save and just get the hell out of there. Vertices. Shader complexity is pretty important normally. So, I mean, this is a new bug that they've introduced in Unreal Engine 5, but shader complexity normally doesn't work in Android Previewer. It works though on SM5, which is not accurate from what we want, but you can get a view of how everything will look. Well, everything looks really green, right? Well, if this goes into the mobile previewer, a lot will be red, believe me, but this is what we can work with as well. So my water shader looks fine, everything right now looks fine because I had done a lot of optimizations. And what I mean by optimization is just making everything simple. Simplifying stuff is the way to go in this case. So I just go into the master material. It's not that complicated. It's 137 instructions. Normally, mobile devices have a lot of problems with opacity, translucent materials. With trees are a hell lot of problems for mobile devices. This is the Android previewer, by the way. I have a tree here. Again, I've set desired max draw distance for it. This is pretty important. So as you can see, the far trees just go away because I don't want my GPU to get where was it? Quad overdraw, which again doesn't show well. I don't want my GPU to get overworked by this piece that I can barely see, you know. In PC you would normally use LODs, but in mobile, since we have size problem. Every LOD has a different size. If you have a 500K triangle mesh, it will probably be like 15 megabytes. Then every LOD is like 10 megabytes, 7 megabytes, 5 megabytes, and that's a lot of size you don't really want to have when you're working on mobile. Which in this case I didn't want to, so I just got rid of it in distance. Simplifying shaders is normally pretty easy. Just make sure they're not connected. Just disconnect everything. In my case, these aren't the problems, so ambient occlusion is something that I really like in my game. Normal maps are pretty important, to be honest. emissive color it does nothing to performance. Roughness and specular and metallic were some things that would would give some discomfort to older devices. Some people are still using those older devices, but they're not so much of a problem these days. I mean, it's completely up to you. If you don't want to use these things, remember, you're covering a lot more devices out there. I need these things. I need to use roughness, specular in my materials, and I can't do anything about it, to be honest. But if you want to go even further, you can disconnect those as well. Trees, branches need to be unlit. They must be unlit if you're working on mobile. They can't really simulate any shadows. I mean, I'm talking about these branches, all the not the opaque materials, all the opacity masked materials. These will be unlit. Even with unlit, they're not performing really well. So make sure that they're unlit. They can't be lit, and you can't really use a lot of transparent materials. I don't have any, except exponential height fog. I don't have any fog. In my other maps, I have Niagara based transparent fogs that are just coming in front of the camera. They're always obscuring the camera, and they're always in the screen, and they're just making the performance worse. Just don't do that. I mean, I had the budget for it in my other maps, so I did it. I made sure that it can't be turned on in the graphic settings, but I don't have the budget for it in this map, so I'm not doing it. Don't go ahead and place a lot of transparent layers on top of each other, because it makes the renderer to render every pixel even up to 20-30 times, which you don't have the budget for. That's another thing that's pretty important. Textures are the most important part of the improving performance and reducing size when it comes to mobile. So make sure that the maximum texture size for the most important textures are 512, and it gets lowered down to 128 for less important textures. That's another way to fix the size, reduce the size. Right now my game size is standing at 212 megabytes, I guess, which is not bad at all. Also, I'm using dynamic lighting, so if I go into the directional light, it's movable, it's completely dynamic, and again, if you pay close attention, after some distance it doesn't have the shadow anymore, which is again another performance enhancer. How we can do it is in the, I don't want to cast translucent shadows, by the way, and any volumetric shadows. I know it might not work in, I mean, it doesn't work in mobile. It might work in Vulkan, but not in OpenGL, by the way. But just to be sure, turn it off. Also, dynamic shadow distance is what controls this one, and transition fraction is what controls the distance between the fade distance is what's called transition fraction, and the cascades is at 1. If I set something like 4, it will get a lot better, much more quality, but the performance gets really worse. and it's not worth it at all. Keep in mind that I'm using dynamic lighting. If you want to bake the lighting for something like this, a map this big, you can't bake the lighting. Just don't do it. If you want to go that way, make sure you don't have any trees. Make sure the map is a lot smaller than this, and make sure that the target system is not mobile. Because mobiles, they can't load that much information. The light mass is just heavy, too heavy for mobiles to process. Something like 50 megabytes, they have to load all of that into their tiny small RAM, which can have like 200 megabytes of free RAM, and 550 of that should be gone into the light mass. I mean, that's not gonna work really well for you, does it? And unfortunately, that's something that will make the game run a lot worse. If you can use dynamic lighting, just use dynamic lighting. I'm not using any point light or spotlight. I don't have anything else. The only light I have is directional light and skylight, which, by the way, skylight is movable as well. And pretty much this is it. I made sure that I have no trees other than this. I reduced the amount of trees a lot. I have no foliage other than trees. I have no grass. I have no extra detail. I merged some of the assets, some of the houses, but it didn't really make a change, to be honest. Like 5 years ago, it would make a lot better changes with merging everything all together, but right now we don't really need to merge everything together, because right now we have this new feature called GPU scene, I suppose is what's it's called. Yeah, GPU scene on mobile, and it does a really great job of fixing everything. Look at that. Maybe no, I shouldn't really do anything about it. And I guess I could cover everything, and this video is getting a really long video. I don't want to make it any more longer. And I hope this was helpful, to be honest, and if it was, please hit that like button, and if you have any questions, if you've played the game, please write a review about my game in the comment section. If you have any suggestion, please let me know, and I wish you a great day. Bye.